Some TV shows are cancelled way ahead of their time, and Invader Zim is one of those shows. With its unsettling themes and bizarre body horror visuals, I've always found the delivery of its stories to be its biggest attribute. Apart from all the abrupt screaming, the writing behind this series is a consistent strength. One episode that springs to mind is the final story of the original series, titled The Most Horrible Xmas Ever. This was the last episode shown on Nickelodeon following its cancellation, which aired on December 10th, 2002. This was not intended to be the show's finale, but due to ongoing issues behind the scenes, it sadly became the end of the series. Invader Zim was very expensive to animate, and sadly at the time, it was just not receiving the desired viewing figures from the target demographic. Therefore, to save money, the show was axed halfway through the second season. Although it was not intended as an ending to the original series, The Most Horrible Xmas Ever remains a festively fun conclusion. It manages to retain the known themes associated with the show, but delivers a Zim-like take on Christmas. This includes various horror and sci-fi themes similar to what Futurama managed to accomplish with their festive-themed episodes. As expected, it contains various tropes of weirdness helmed by the show's creator, Jonan Vasquez, a comic book artist I heavily admire. With several episodes already in various stages of production and the cancellation now confirmed, the showrunners were given a difficult choice. Only one more episode could be finished. It was a choice between this episode and an unaired story titled Nubs of Doom, of which the finished voiceover can be found online. This bit of trivia is important to a certain character introduced in this story and something we will come back to momentarily. Beginning the episode 2 million years into the future, a robotic snowman named Mr. Sludgy is surrounded by a group of children? Already the animation, particularly for the child characters, is really strange and uncanny. He begins to tell the tale of the most horrible Christmas ever.
Now, will you tell us the story of the most horrible Christmas ever?
No, little girl. No, I won't.
No, of course, that's not the actual ending. I really like this storytelling technique, which reflects similarly to Christmas specials such as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, with a snowman narrating the story ahead. Cutting to Zim, Gur, and a new character named Minimoose, the three are trying to gather money but are not having much luck. With only a handful of change, a human heart, and a sandwich, Zim notices the reason they are being ignored is because of so-called grubby red humans. Of course, meaning Santa, and not knowing anything about Christmas, Zim is eager to learn more. Kidnapping a man in broad daylight dressed as Santa from a shopping mall, he attempts to extract more necessary information. Despite being restrained in an alien laboratory and Zim being a visible alien outside of his generic human disguise, I love how the mall Santa is mostly perplexed by Minimoose. This is what I wanted to go into. Who exactly is Minimoose? If you're familiar with the show, you'll know that there has never been an episode or reference to this character prior to this story. Despite Zim saying that Minimoose has always been there.
Oh, that's Minimoose, my other sidekick. Yeah, been with me the whole time.
This is simply not true. Funnily enough, the unaired episode Nubs of Doom was supposed to air prior to the Christmas special. This would have been the introduction to Minimoose, who was built by Zim to serve as a new sidekick with the intention of replacing Gur. With the cancellation confirmed on January 17th, 2002, Nickelodeon allowed the staff to finish the Christmas special, but not Nubs of Doom. According to the Invader Zim Wikipedia, had the show been cancelled one day later, this would have allowed Nubs of Doom and another unfinished episode titled Invader Punchy to enter animation production. Cancelling a project during this phase would actually result in losing more money, something Nickelodeon was supposedly losing on this show to begin with. Had the show aired as planned, the character would have made more sense, where we'd recall its origin. Instead, I'd like to think this line of dialogue was intended as a throwaway gag at the expense of the show's cancellation. Having now learned all about Christmas from the mall Santa, he gives Zim a completely misconstrued definition of what Santa represents. Claiming to be one of his helpers, he makes the real Santa into a mythical figure with the hopes that one day he will return. Unknowingly, this inspires Zim, who once again hatches a plan for Earth's destruction with a Christmassy twist. Of course, when Zim is plotting world conquest, his arch-nemesis is not too far behind. Dib has always been a favourite character of mine. Voiced by Andy Behrman, I really like his portrayal of Dib, where it's something the audience can really connect with. Mostly, this connection is made from pure disbelief and frustration. With the vast majority of the characters in this show seemingly ignorant to the perils Earth has faced, Dib is the only character who fully understands the events taking place. And with that in mind, he is the only person to see the truth behind Zim and his ludicrous plans for world conquest. With a callback to the Season 1 episode, Tak, the hideous new girl, Dib is attempting to repair the damaged deck and ship she left behind. I felt this was going to play a more important role in the planned episodes ahead. As we know, this did not happen, but was thankfully salvaged as a plot point in the TV movie that followed many years later. Typically, his sister Gaz is not interested, who is instead focusing on a dog that apparently bit the head off her vampire doll. I love the gag that follows where Dib tries to power the ship only to knock out the power across the city. Luckily, his father fixes the issue. Professor Membrane was one of my favourite side characters across the series. I'd actually forgotten about this scene in particular where he suddenly is able to summon power from within the palm of his hand. This could perhaps be interpreted as a piece of inspiration for the sudden cybernetic arms seen many years later in the TV movie. Seeing Zim reveal himself dressed as Santa, this alarms Dib, who plots to stop this festively evil plan. Zim's speech oddly seems reminiscent of Hulk Hogan, or at least that's what it reminded me of in retrospect.
Oh yeah! Rejoice, brothers!
Well, you're exactly right.
It's also great to see Professor Membrane further involved in this story. He too seeks to destroy Santa, only this is instead a revenge for a childhood disappointment. With the hopes of enslaving the human race and the end goal of slaughtering the species, Zim's announcement is hilariously dark. The Jolly Boots of Doom track is a recognisable favourite from the episode, and in general the soundtrack composed by Kevin Menthai stands out. Like with most of Zim's plans, things slowly start to go wrong, usually at his own expense. His Santa suit begins to malfunction. He becomes a Jolly Father Christmas, suddenly giving out gifts and spreading Christmas cheer unintentionally. This is triggered by something Christmassy going on around him. With knowledge of an obvious fault, Zim is surprised to see Dib trying to stop his evil plans. Trying to prove that Zim's Santa outfit is a hoax, it's hilarious to see the frustration build where we see the ignorance of the human race continue.
Robot elves! Just like in the stories!
What stories had robot elves?
Silencing Dib, he is imprisoned, but not for long. Having captured a group of humans to build a Doom-based teleportation ray, Dib escapes his prison cell and poses as one of the robot elves. Wanting to find out Zim's evil plan, it's typical for him to confide in his enemy without realizing what he's doing. Confessing the weakness with the Santa suit, this gives Dib the ammunition needed to save Christmas. Following an informative flashback revealing the origin of the suit, Zim realizes the elf is actually Dib, launching him into the frozen ocean beneath. And so, stuck in this predicament and seeking help, Dib is forced to confess to his sister that he was responsible for the doll being destroyed in a failed teleportation experiment with a fly. And so, saving Dib with the intent of beating him up, Gaz arrives in the Irken ship, which is now fully functioning. Conveniently, Professor Membrane gets in on this as he advises his son that he created an arsenal of anti-Santa based weapons from his childhood. As expected, however, Zim's downfall is of his own doing. Having attempted to stop the suit from malfunctioning, it appears too late. Failing to convince the human slaves to teleport to their doom, the suit rejects the modification made by Zim, where he becomes fully engulfed in the Santa suit. Ironically, with Dib trying to stop the Santa suit, he unintentionally saves Zim from his own imprisonment. Rather than an elongated final battle, the pair oddly work together where the suit is compromised. This allows Dib to launch it into space, where he ends up saving Christmas, or so he thinks. This poor kid can just never catch a break. Mankind being once again ignorant fools, instead they believe Dib has actually destroyed the real Santa, therefore ruining Christmas. I found the final shot hilarious, seeing Zim and his minions dressed as the Easter platypus, which really caught me off guard. Linking back to where this episode began, 2 million years into the future, it's revealed the planet is on lockdown under a giant snow globe. Earth shelters from the monster, which is revealed to be the suit Zim created, seeking revenge on the planet. For a twisted take on a festive story, this episode is simplistic but worthy of recognition. With the unique quirks and lore surrounding its production, I feel this episode is all the more interesting. It retains the known hyperbolic comedy associated with the series, plus its storytelling techniques further prove to be a strength for Invader Zim. It's a shame the series was cancelled so soon, where it has since become a cult classic. As part of the complete series DVD release, there is also an extended cut of this episode available. The differences are minimal, but if you love the series, this rare special features DVD may be worth purchasing. And on that note, thank you for listening to my thoughts on the Invader Zim finale episode. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to leave me a like down below. Let me know in the comments if you have a preferred favourite Christmas special, and for more content be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, DVD Review Studios.
Are you threatening me?